Hey guys, Mike here. So we got a big week ahead of us, and I mean a lot of economic data. We got the FOMC coming out. I think we all know what they're going to do. Wink, wink. Of course, we're going to act like we don't, but we know what Jerome Powell and his little cronies are going to do. Obviously, we're going to talk about IWM, the 10-year, a sector, more important, we're going to spend a lot of time on, that I think is being set up for a big rotation into, or, maybe a big flop. But I think it's going to be a big rotation. I'll show you why. You might have noticed one of those stocks exploding way farther than anybody thought it would go on Friday when it reported earnings. I was very happy about that. Hopefully some of you guys banked on that. But I will start off with this chart right here, which shows something which is going all over Twitter, and I like to go ahead and make sure I point something out very clearly to you guys. And I'll go also, you'll get to find out how I really feel about executive compensation, which I do not like the way it's set up at all. But let's start with that, and then we'll get into the sector that absolutely is set up, hopefully, for a big rotation in for what could be a big year-end rally. So check this out right here. So you can see this floating around about corporate executives selling at record highs, which is absolutely true. That's because they get more stock than they've ever gotten before. That's why it keeps going up over all these years, because they keep getting richer and richer while they keep laying their employees off. But that's a whole different story. Don't get me started on that. But what you'll notice is they're always super early. You'll see a little dip, and then it keeps going up, and a little dip, and it keeps going up, and a little dip, and it keeps going up. So, of course, I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're working too hard for that stock and stuff and everything. So why not sell, right? And become super, super wealthy off the backs of their employees. It's a great thing. You might be catching on that I don't like the way that executives are actually incentivized and paid there. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, when you look at what's happening, remember, I'm always looking for rotation. That's my big thing, right? So here you go. We talked about this, SOX versus the SPY. Now it's moving up. It's touching this trend line. We've been talking about this for like a week or two now. So this has moved up. Is it going to break out? If it breaks out, starts moving up like it has in the past, that means that you're seeing money rotate into the semiconductors. And look at the setups. We talked about Abgo for, God knows, it felt like forever. Huge explosion up. Went way higher than I thought it was going to go. I mean, when you put the fibs in this thing, I was thinking, we'll get to 210 or something. This thing rocketed up to like 230. I mean, it was insane. Why is that? Options market, baby. Look at this. Avgo today, following the earnings report last evening, with over 120 million plus inflows since market open. Later on that day, 133 million plus flowing in since market open. So it kept going up, and they just kept pushing it up and pushing it up and pushing it up. So it was almost like a Tesla type move, right? And so can this thing keep going? Absolutely. If the option market gets behind it, yeah, I mean, you're looking anywhere from like 240, 255 at the top of the fibs. If it tries to cool off and come down this week, watch for 217, 72 to hold. Below that, right around 214. So look for those levels to hold. But look at the setups and all the rest of these. What's NVIDIA doing? Coming in this trend line that goes back to August right there where it bounced, okay? Come down into some support area right there. So will this bounce, or will the head and shoulders play out, which is not in the past? I think it's had like multiple head and shoulders in the past have not played out. And so what are they doing? Again, they're wedging these semiconductors. I'm going to show you multiple of them. Some are breaking out, some are not. But this right here, of course, NVIDIA is the king. So if this one breaks out and actually starts getting some love, the only thing holding it back, really, in my opinion, is really NVIDIA. It's the fact that Tesla and NVIDIA don't move together, right? So all the options flows keeps flowing into Tesla, and the options flows on NVIDIA is pretty much dead right now. And so people are buying the 150 right now for January, February, March, that kind of stuff. Look over here, ARM. You see this one started getting wedged. Boom, finally had a breakout right here on ARM. So another semiconductor that could start to move up. And when these start to move up, SMH, SOX, SOXX, going to be another one to watch out for. And you can move this trend line wherever you want to move it. Just FYI, but either way, this is a breakout once it got wedged and squeezed. And that's what you're seeing in a lot of these, right? And remember, these have not been performing, right? These have been the laggers. We've seen many different laggers that money gets rotated into. Doing a whole members video on this tomorrow for them to kind of show them what I'm talking about and what sectors to start watching out for. And again, we can move this trend line up to make it look prettier if you want to. And you'll see that either way, it's still a breakout right here. And you can see the areas we're looking at, 164, 171 will be to the upside if that's where it decides to go. Here's another one for you, AMD, right? This has just been a total lagger this year. Coming into this area, which has been resistance, been support in the past. We can also throw a trend line on here and say, okay, I broke that trend line. Are they going to let this thing bounce? Because it's been a massive, massive underperformer so far. And you can see when we pull up the MACD and the RSI, clearly the bears are in charge right now because they have the RSI and MACD below the 50 and the 0 line. So you definitely want to see that get improved. Breaking that trend line was not good. Immediately sellers started piling into this thing. And so can it hold the shaded area once again? Or are we going to start coming down even further? If semis break out, though, you would just think that, you know, AMD is going to get rotated into as well, okay? But again, no reason to be a hero. Wait for it to get back above that trend line again if you need to. You can see where the support is down here, 107, 125, somewhere in that area, if this thing continues to come down. Now, getting away from semiconductors, obviously Tesla had another enormous day. We talked about how they've been buying up at the 0.5 fib when they get that retracement down. And that's exactly what they did. Boom, hit it, and it just absolutely exploded higher. I'm going to get rid of that right there. And so when we look at this, the funny thing is when I look at this, it's almost in like a perfect channel. And so when I already got this trend line at the top put up there, but at the bottom you can draw a trend line and mess around with it, and it's almost a perfect channel up right now. So if that channel breaks, clearly we'll get more downside than just a 0.5 fib retracement. But right now, you know, that looks to be what it's doing right here. It's kind of coming up. So we can just look at the top of the channel and the bottom of the channel, and it's not that even big a percentage move up or down. It's like 3% up, 3% down. But to see if it's going to continue to grind, because I can already tell you right now, the amount of options coming in on the 500 were insane. I can already tell you they're already buying the $500 call options for sure. I even saw like 835, I think, going out to like March or something. I mean, just absolutely insane. You can see if they do draw down that 0.5 fib again and try to play the same trend, that's around the bottom of that channel right there, around that trend line right there, into some kind of support as well. And then if we go up, it's about 3.2% up to the top of that channel, depending on when it hits it. But you can see Friday, man, I mean, what was it? Around 96 million plus in calls. And that was like around 130s when I recorded this right here. So they were just shoving this thing up. And then you can see right here, look at this. 840 calls for like May 16th as well were actually active, just millions upon millions, you know. It's insane. You know, I don't, you know, I remember seeing this in, what was it, 2020 on Tesla, I think it was when it was going through the same thing where it started doing stock splits and stuff. But it's just amazing. I mean, I told you, how Tesla move? Not on fundamentals, on the options market. That's just the way it is. Now, looking over at Palantir, you know, this ain't an inverse head and shoulders, nothing like that, but you can kind of see it looks similar to that. But more importantly, if we draw a line here, you can see Friday it broke above this area right here, which I think is around, if I'm not mistaken, around 75-ish, somewhere in there. And so if it can hold that, it can absolutely move higher for sure and start heading back towards 80, 82. And so if it loses that, go ahead and be expecting to come back down towards this shaded area there between like 68, 72, somewhere in that area. It's got a nice little 1 hour fair value gap right there. So I expected to grind through there, even though this one will probably end up getting some news about some new contract. That seems to be how it works with this one. Crowd's another one to watch because another one's getting wedged. It looks like it's trying to break out right here. Again, it's all about cybersecurity, software, all that good stuff. So if it does break out, look for that 380 to be on alert for. If it comes back down around 353 right there is where you're going to be looking for it to bounce. But, you know, this pattern, we keep saying it over and over. They're just wedging, and you're getting this explosive move up. I do not think it has earnings anytime soon, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, IWM we talked about in detail, I believe it was in Saturday's video. Go back and watch that. But where to bounce at on this trend line, which has been in place for quite a while. Nice little end of day rally right there. Also came down to the golden pocket. As we said, it's pretty far away now, at 2.5% away from that trend line up there. There's no reason to be a hero. You can try if you want to ride it up there. But until it breaks that trend line, and until obviously the 10-year starts to cool off, this ain't going to have some big move, no way, shape, or form. So when you look at this, again, about 2% from that trend line, you want to break above that, start heading for the other one right there. But again, you also need to have the 10-year cool off. It is in a discount, a nice discount, that's for sure. Obviously, if it breaks that trend line, look for the 0.79 fib to hold, which would also fill a very small gap. But as we bring up the 10-year right here, you can clearly see, is it heading to that trend line? That's what we got to find out. That's where we've had many rejections right there, or 3 or 4 rejections, excuse me, big rejections. And if that happens, yes, IWM is going to have a very nice end of year rally. But right now, this thing's just been on a complete tear over the last week. So you would think it needs to cool off at some point in time. Another thing to look at is IWM versus QQQ on this ratio. I mean, obviously the Mag 7 has been roaring. And you can see we're back down these like .com levels of how it's performing against the Qs. We got below that before and had a huge rally. So when this ratio is going up, that means IWM's outperforming the Qs, and it's moving fast and having a really good time right now. Not liking it at all. So I'm looking for a turn back up to that trend line right there. So that's things I'm watching. Let me know what you're watching. When it comes to earnings, going to have some fun ones here. Not starting until Wednesday, though. You'll have General Mills, and then in the afternoon you'll have Micron, which I believe got some pretty good news, if I'm not mistaken. Lennar, the home builder, and then, of course, we'll go into Thursday, and you'll see there with Darden Restaurants, which is huge. Centos, Paychecks you can look at, CarMax, and then in the afternoon, Nike. I know a lot of people have been watching that one and see if it's a turnaround or not. FedEx, I didn't even realize BlackBerry was still in business. And then Carnival Cruise Lines, and we'll see how we are cruising. And then a lot of data. This is the week of data, okay, like I said. So Empire State Manufacturing Index, Flash Manufacturing PMI, Services PMI on Monday. Tuesday, core retail sales, and then regular retail sales month over month. Wednesday, building permits, housing starts, crude oil inventories. Then Jerome Powell and the Fed make their decision. We all know they're going to cut. Then he'll speak, and we'll get the hello candle and a lot of volatility for sure this week. There's no doubt about it. Thursday, final GDP quarter over quarter, unemployment claims, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, existing home sales, CB leading index month over month, natural gas storage, and then Friday we end up with core PCE price index, personal income, personal spending, and Michigan consumer sentiment. So it's going to be a fun one. So buckle up, hit that like, subscribe button on your way out. If you like this content, think about signing up for the membership. Less than McDonald's combo. You get the Discord, 2 private videos a week at least, and the morning news brief, which everybody seems to like. So have a good one, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.